hit my record button. All right.
All right.
I am in Spokane, Washington, sitting next to Kaihehau Uahinui.
Ooh,
What's
boy.
up, brother?
Pretty good. Since the last time,
You
real good. Getting
ever
ready to go
been
home. So definitely.
yeah. You ever been back to that place where you can go eat those noodles?
Yeah, once or twice, a couple of my friends like that place as well. The prices are going up though.
Well,
So
I got those noodles. I ate what I could. I went back to Libby, Montana to my cousin's house. Three more people ate out of the leftovers, man. That's the kind Chunwa Cam kind servings, man.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Starting point. What year you started Kamehameha? I know, but the rest don't know.
Oh well, what was that? 1969? We both
Oh,
went there.
I'm sorry. Grade were easy.
Seventh grade.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There were like 13 of us from Molokai that year.
13. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me try work them. Uh, me, you, Josie,
Uh-huh.
Wani, Kathy Chow. Are you counting her?
Oh,
No.
Kathy's not Molokai at the time, yeah.
Hmm. That same year. So can it be anybody younger than us, right?
No. I think I had like almost 13. Wendell Pirot,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
um, the one girl that never finished with us, Reyes girl.
Charlotte.
Was that Charlotte Reyes?
Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh. Um, uh, yeah, I cannot remember all of them, but there was quite a bit.
Oh, up- Did you try the test before that year?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
I don't know who put the bug in our ear. It must have been a summer school thing on Molokai. So the whole gang from that summer school thing said, "Hey, let's go."
Yeah. I don't know. I know my mom wanted me at a school that would really, uh hopefully benefit me, but
It did. We just didn't know it. Like you said in all your interviews, we didn't know it.
yeah. If I had known then what I know now, or however they say that, so
Sure.
I can probably help Kaihel fill in before Kamehameha. He was at Kaunakakai Elementary.
Elementaries.
Now, help me with this because it's popped up offline for me personally. I had that red-headed, she had some kind of physical walking affliction kindergarten teacher. You remember her?
Wow. Just barely, because I think I had,
The other one.
yeah, I probably had the other one. Who was the
Okay.
other one? I
I
don't
don't know.
remember.
And then first grade, I had Graham Bush.
And I had Crane.
Second grade, I cannot remember who I had. Was it Mrs. Blaylock? No?
No, and I think I had the other one. Wasn't there another one? Wow,
I
I don't remember anything before fourth grade.
Yeah, because third grade, I had Miss Chung.
Miss Chung, I had Miss Chung as well.
Fourth grade, I want to say I had Mrs. Kikukawa.
And that was fourth grade. I didn't have Mrs. Kikugawa.
Because Apuna was fifth grade for me.
Fifth grade, and then see, I had Yoshinaga.
Oh, I guess they had pairs for all those
Yeah, I
grades back
had
then.
pairs for almost every grade. And I think you and I weren't ever in the same one more than once or twice.
And
Because I
then
had,
sixth grade, I had Mrs. Was it Inouye or what was her? I can picture her. I just
well, I can picture her too, but I don't remember her being my teacher.
okay. Who you had sixth grade? You remember?
I'm trying to remember. I remember a teacher from sixth grade that was Mr. Kula, science teacher, but I don't know if he was a homeroom or anything like that.
Well, couldn't have had three, so he must have been the other sixth grade.
Really? Okay. Oh, right. You just said right. So probably. And I had Mr. Nip, but I don't remember what grade that was. Third. Oh, I don't
And
know.
and I mistakenly by forced job had to do JPO because my dad was running that thing.
Oh, hey, I did JPO. I have no idea what the motivation was, but I did JPO.
Okay. So, oh man, that's
JPO, boy.
dragging it too far back, man.
You know, hey, I thought you were gonna test me with Kamehameha.
Yeah, I don't know if I could. No, I couldn't. I wouldn't even have a start because I couldn't remember for the life of me. I was in D&E seventh grade. I remembered Mr. Smith, and my teacher was the female science teacher, and we finally figured out. Billy Cam helped me. It was Mrs. Barkley.
Yeah, I was enjoying that. That came up like once or twice in your other interviews, and I'm over there going, Mrs. Barkley, Mrs. Barkley. But I was talking to the screen, obviously. But I had Smith. Mhm.
Okay. Oh, and
And
we
then you
had
guys talked about Stevie Johnson. You know, he
yeah.
actually in Washington, and he became a woodworker. Really intricate stuff, cabinets
N-
and stuff like that.
Now, how did you latch onto that?
A friend of mine from the Big Island actually took some of the same woodworking classes when he lived on the coast. And he goes, "Hey, Kai, I think somebody I work with went to school with you." I went, "Wow." That was a long time ago. But yeah, I think he started doing stuff in woodworking. Haven't
Now,
heard from him for like years though.
he only went like eighth grade or something, didn't
Yeah, I
he?
think eighth grade and then he was gone.
Okay. Do you remember who brought her up? Kirk Paulson. Do you remember Kay Travis?
I do, but I don't recall why I remember who that is.
The name just rings a big bell, but I cannot picture her or anything. So,
Yep.
but I
So
remember the cancer nickname.
yeah, same name, same visual I got in my mind. I
Yeah.
don't know what she looks like, but the name sounds familiar.
And then you helped. I saw your comment. You helped Kalani Akana and I out with
Yeah,
Kikoiwa
that was neat.
Wabaina.
Yeah. So I like listening. Oh, in fact, some of my favorites was Kalani's interview, and then I liked your interview with Rhonda Hainish. Uh, I mentioned to you that I used the auto captioning, and every time she said Kamehameha, it would spell it perfectly. And then other
Wow.
people would say Kamehameha, and it would come out Camille or Calamity, that kind of stuff. It was pretty
Yeah.
fun.
I was kind of thinking too, because I had my first glitch last night. I was talking to Doug Panee and my audio went out.
Oh,
So there's a couple of, and not for long, 3, 4, 5 seconds. I'm sitting there and nothing's coming out. And then in the recording, it's blank too. So I don't know. I might have to maybe see if I can turn it on during the lives and then record it as we go. But
all
well,
right.
Rhonda has such good what would that be called? Diction,
Yes,
pronunciation.
I'm saying the same words in my head. Kermit, wow. With the, yeah, I think she was that. The machine liked what she was saying.
Yeah.
So,
Oh man. Okay, so we make it through, we graduate. Did you have a plan, junior, senior year, a direction, or no idea where you were headed?
only that I was going to college away from Hawaii and that I was going to try to spend as little money as possible because we didn't have it. So looking for a scholarship. I got accepted to three schools. Can't remember. St. Mary's in California, Gonzaga, which I eventually went to, and one other school. But Gonzaga gave me the most upfront money. So I said, well, let's
Now,
go there.
the third school, do you remember geographically where that was?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was on the coast someplace.
Okay.
Wasn't going to go much further than that. Didn't know of anything much further than that. Washington, Oregon, California was the states I remembered. So can you imagine learning the states after you get here?
Oh, geez. I remember those good old days when I could zip through the 50 states with capitals, and then now can't even do the 50 states.
Just rely on the airlines to land in the right airport. That's it.
Yeah. I got my fingers crossed too. My birthday was Sunday.
Uh-huh.
My driver's license expired. So way back in the beginning of April, I went in to try do it early. And they said, well, if you want to do the real ID, and she didn't mention May 7th, which I find out now is when the real ID thing took effect. But she said, if you want to just renew it, come renew it, fine. But if you want to do the real ID, you need your birth certificate, which I had to order. So I said, oh, well, let me order it. If it doesn't come in, I'll just renew it. I get there last week, Tuesday, before my birthday. It hasn't expired yet. Birth certificate has not arrived. So I said, let me just renew it. Oh, Minnesota just changed their policy to simply renew it. You need your birth certificate. So I get it on Saturday. Office is not open, closed Sunday, closed Monday. I
Hmm.
go in Tuesday to renew it. So yes, now my license is renewed. I have the hard expired license and a piece of paper saying I renewed it. So when I get to TSA, I'm praying, man, I don't have major issues.
Wow. So I actually have a passport. So that's how I travel. But I had
And I guess I should
similar
have thought of
license.
that back then.
Yeah, that takes a while to get too. But I had similar things. I went in, my license expired just before COVID. So I go in and said, sorry, we're not doing anything. Can you come back afterwards? So it's like 3 years later, I try again. She goes, oh, we're going to go to Real ID. Why don't you wait for that? So I said, okay. And then I realized my license is going to expire before that, you know? So I go in and it says, well, you're either going to get it now and get the same one, or you're going to wait for Real ID. And I was worried about that. So I just got the same one. So I have a license that still works for driving, but useless for travel. So using
Okay.
my passport to travel.
Now, what made you get your passport? Did you need it to
Uh
go someplace?
Immediate friends, they decided to go take the, what do you call those, cruise line thing. So we ended up in Honduras and parts of Mexico and stuff like that.
When you did that?
23, April, maybe February, April of 23.
Oh,
Uh, it's kind of windy, high seas. We got to our second port and got turned away because the 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 swells were going like 6 to 8 feet above the dock. So they don't really like the cruise liners to go above the dock and slam down. So they never let us in. So
huh.
bypassed that and went out in the open sea, way calmer and stuff like that.
Now we have some friends up here who enjoy cruises. They go on two, probably three, four a year. And they tell me you don't go hungry on a cruise.
Oh, never. Even if you don't pay for the extras, the all you can eat all day long kind of thing.
Uh, See, that alone would make me want to go.
Uh,
I don't care if I don't see nothing fancy.
well, I
Okay,
don't think.
so you end up selecting Gonzaga
Hmm.
because of the money up front. You get there and just take like introductory, whatever a freshman has to take kind of stuff or what?
I took almost the same kinds of classes I took leaving Kamehameha. There were no surprises. Registration was exactly the way we did it at Kamehameha. The little computer cards and sign every card and sort it alphabetically and turn it into the lady at the end of the table kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I said, hey, I did this in high school. You know,
It
ran into
prepared
a,
us real well.
yeah, they did for that part of it. Yeah.
The only thing I stumbled on a little bit was the fact that the teacher could care less if you came to class. I
eh,
ended up kind of taking advantage of that. And then finals come and you go, ooh, maybe I should have come a few more times than I did.
okay. I've been hearing the same sales presentation from Gonzaga University for the last 50 years. So they loved having kids, and the class sizes were very perfect. I guess Gonzaga would have called it at the time. So, almost 70% of the student body had scholarships, and the class sizes weren't huge. And there was our fair share amount of Hawaii kids too. All the islands pretty much represented. Um, Most of the high schools. I think maybe about 8 or 9 of us from Kamehameha. Me from my class only. But in the area, there were other people. Harry Lake, George Aranon, Wendell Kawakami,
but not at
Pucker,
Gonzaga,
not at Gonzaga, right?
but
But
in Spokane.
within 20 minutes, yeah.
Huh. Okay. What school was
Uh,
that, dude?
Whitworth College, there was George Aranon
Okay.
and Harry
Yeah,
Lake. And then Eastern Washington, Kawakami and Puckert.
and the other day when we talked, you said Wendell Kawakami's still up there, yeah?
Yep. He was working at the hospital, like what do you call those? Some kind of technician in the imaging
X-ray or yeah.
imaging area.
Okay. Huh.
And his daughter actually graduated from UW, oh, and a local high school and University of Washington. And then she actually got I don't know what do you get after that in Hawaii. So she just got another level of accomplishment back home.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
Hmm.
Wow.
And of
So
course, I don't see them very often, but I do remind them when reunions coming along. But not everybody can make reunions.
and not a lot want to sometimes. I run into that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
could care that.
So who
That's
else?
like I've
Oh,
been trying to track down Window Pito and I can't.
right. And that name I think of all the time, Molokai people, and I don't know where he is. You know.
And I saw a recent picture of him, I think when I
Oh,
was hunting people down online, I found his picture and I would pass him on the street today and not have any clue that was him. He looked so
oh,
different to me.
see, that's what we need, a huge board with all the pictures that says, "Do you remember who this is?" I
Oh, geez.
mean, local, recent pictures. That would be neat.
Oh,
But that
yeah,
sounds
that's
like our
hard.
project. Um, Ellsworth Kalalau was up here too. He had 2 years up here because he went to military in school, right? And then he transferred to
Mm.
Gonzaga.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
Bonnie came up after that. So
Yeah,
they lived in Spokane almost 2 years.
it was nice to see him back at Patrick's place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I found out during that trip, I have very good friends from Kau. He's retired Army and he lives in Lacey or
Oh,
someplace not too far away from Seattle or whatever. And they are very good friends with Bonnie and Ellsworth, but we never put it together because he calls him Kama, I call him Ellsworth, and neither one of us knew the other name.
so who's this friends of yours?
Philip Ibarra from
Oh,
Kau.
I know the family too then.
Okay, his wife Val.
Well, I don't know everybody, but that definitely that person's name.
Yeah, okay, and he's been up
Oops.
there, yeah, for
Yeah, we've been
decades. So,
we've been up here very long.
so how far into your time at Gonzaga before you have an idea what you want to do?
Oh, hey, within the first semester, I said, "Oh, math degree, maybe I'll teach." Well, I didn't realize when I got to Gonzaga that there was no such thing as computers. Computers was a business
Oh, okay.
minor. So I wasn't thinking about taking computers, but everybody that asked, "Hey, Kai, can you help me with this?" was a computer person, engineering or computers. So I said, "Oh, that's easy."
You
I
just
ended up doing,
you picked
yeah.
it up real fast and it
But
was
then again,
easy.
by 1979, there's still no computer degree. So all I got was a BS in math, and then had a lot of concentration in computers, but no such thing at the time. So think about it,
Oh,
79, nobody really had computers in mind. Remember the
yeah.
first microcomputer got invented right around then too. So,
All I remember from through a lot of the 80s was playing Pong and, Galaga and I mean whatever just
and I stayed away from that. I never did any of those video game things. ever. I did always mathematical type stuff,
The
and
first
actually
Apple
not
I
very
saw
fun.
was, I don't know, only not very big at all, like a little uh, George Jetson TV box or whatever,
Apple IIe, yeah, those were popular back then. Yeah,
uh,
there's still
and
some sitting around
word
our.
processing and simple stuff that everybody was, ooh, how magic.
Yeah, for
If they
sure.
could only have seen a kid on his cell phone 50
Yeah,
years later or whatever.
why didn't you invent the cell phone?
So you graduate Gonzaga, and was there a time when you were away from campus before coming back, or you just,
Oh, mom, dad, and little brother made it up here for my graduation. I guess that was a gift from my granddad and my grandmom. So they came out to visit, and I just stayed in Spokane. So we made it away from Spokane for about 2 weeks. California, visit cousins, uncles, aunties, then came back up. And I don't know if I ever told you this. I spent the whole almost 6 months playing volleyball and drinking tequila with classmates that never left town. So it was
in
like
Spokane?
going to the beach, but never made it there, you know. So all we did was play volleyball.
You talking
Yeah,
Spokane?
in Spokane, right after graduation, I came back from California, put my mom and dad guys on a plane and flew back to Spokane and just hung out and played volleyball and drank tequila.
Were you working?
No? See, good plan, yeah? But by the end of December, I got a job at Gonzaga, but it was really funny. You ever heard of CETA? Is a government pay, paid program. People that weren't quite ready to get into the workforce, they'd give them an opportunity to make money.
Oh, okay.
So I dropped in that and I worked at Gonzaga's mailroom. Had a good time because I could play volleyball still. I was done working 8 hour shift in 2 hours by the middle of the morning. So just and play volleyball for the rest of the day. Then I got into computers like the middle of December, and I've been in that computer center since then. So 45 years this past May.
So were you ever employed anywhere else?
Nope, pineapple fields, but I try not to count that. Lots of pineapple fields. Every
Mm.
company that was ever in Hawaii, I worked for.
Whoa.
Uh,
I never did it. I worked at the cannery.
right, you mentioned that.
Um, I worked with, God, Scott Adams. Me and Alfred Kai were up at the state park helping him
Huh?
plant trees and dig water lines. And I mean, it was, uh, that was,
On Molokai?
yeah.
Wow, Alfred worked with us in the pineapple field too.
This was, I think, was it the summer
Oh,
after senior year
yeah,
or?
you're talking about late 70s, early 80s then.
No, no, no.
No, middle
Yeah, like 74, 75, or 75 summer or something. It
yeah,
was,
75 the Kamehameha Concert went to Mexico and California and Canada. So I know Alfred was with us for that.
okay.
Then after that I got ready for Gonzaga. So I actually left Hawaii on my birthday, headed to Gonzaga.
Now, Gonzaga, is it named after like a person, or is it like an
Yeah.
Indian word or?
A saint, Saint Aloysius Gonzaga. So
Okay.
Italian, definitely. So,
Huh.
the school has Italian beginnings from Jesuit priests. So, in
Okay.
fact, Gonzaga was founded in 1887 as well, just like Kamehameha.
Oh, okay.
In fact, that's the main building right there in my background, if you can see it.
Like a ad building or what?
Yeah, they call it College Hall, but it was the administration building when I got there. And it is still is for us old folks. Because I have classmates that come in, is the ad building still around? I said, yeah, they call it College Hall. So,
Just so you can look it up if you need to get there.
right. In fact, the maps don't ever say that anymore. They just say College Hall. They used to have both references.
Huh. When was the last time you were on Molokai?
I was there Thanksgiving. Lots of deaths in the family the last 8, 9 months, so maybe 12 months. Two aunts, first or second cousin. My brother, everybody knows, passed too. And then my sister just passed, but I'll go back for that funeral in the fall.
Mm,
So, but yeah, that's the
yeah,
only reason I
yeah,
would go home is for those kinds of things.
yeah.
I don't like that to be the reason, but yeah, fewer and fewer family around when I go home for visits. But at least there's family around.
I was going to ask Kalani and I forgot because if somebody would know, he might. But I remember seeing a YouTube thing where they were interviewing, was his first name Philip Solitario from Halawa Valley?
Yeah, that's a cousin.
Okay. And they were asking him if it was Molokai or Molokai, and he ended up with this explanation to where it was Molokai. And he gave a story. I can't remember the story. And then I ran across something later that you know said all the islands are supposed to be Ai, La Nai, Kauai,
And
Hawaii.
you know what the E is for, right? That was a reference to the god Kane.
Okay, I think that's, yeah, I remember
And
that
so,
part of the
so
story. So,
of Kane, that kind of thing.
so what's your opinion? It should be Molokai.
Okay, when I was little, it was always E. But then I've listened to other quote unquote scholars talk about, hey, if you know what you're referring to, everybody will know what you're referring to anyway. So, good or bad, at least I know they're not trying to make fun of it. They just not nobody knows. Oh, I can't even say I know exactly how to say it. Because I do that when I sing in music, I actually stop people and says, can you say this like this instead of like this? And it's for those little things that I learned from cousins and aunts and stuff like that. So I'll say Molokai all the time, so
Mm.
I won't say Molokai unless it's somebody running down the street and goes, where you from? Molokai. But other than that, Molokai, Hawaii, Lanai.
Because I was trying to think back. I think for most of my childhood, I always remember saying Molokai.
Hmm.
I don't know if that was just from lack of not knowing any better or what, but
See, you and I never hung out together, so I probably would have made a snide remark to you as well. So, but I try not to do that anymore.
let them learn in their own time, huh?
Yeah. Or
Mm,
like the guy, that one person I heard said, "Hey, you know what they mean. They're not trying to be mean. So
yeah.
that's the way I do it now.
Huh. Other than that cruise, have you been outside the United States for anything?
I love that question. You bring it up for most of us. No, if I went anywhere foreign, it was while I was in high school. Other than that, just not enough funds. Oh, driving to Canada doesn't count because it's like an hour away. Drive
Yeah,
up, drive
well,
back.
I mean, different is different.
Well, in the middle of snow, 12-foot snow drifts. I don't know. But
Yeah,
no
because
flights.
but in while we were still in high school, was it from Concert Glee or something? You guys got all the
Exactly.
opportunities to.
Concert Glee Choir, Canada, Mexico. Well, I guess I've been to Canada, different parts of Canada more than once because while I was working at Gonzaga, they sent us on conferences. It's conferences as near as Vegas and as far away as Orlando and Hawaii. But, travel, that's about it. And now I'm an old timer, so they don't send me out on the road very much.
They figure you're not going to last or what?
They try to give that opportunity to the young people.
There
You
you
know,
go. Let
you,
them spread their wings a little bit, huh?
and if you're gonna pay them as much money as they're getting, get your money's worth.
Yeah. So as far as longevity, is there anybody that's been working there longer than you?
Oh. I think there's one person that's been there as many years as I am. He's a Catholic priest, and then one guy that's been there 10 years longer than me. And the only reason I know that is Gonzaga celebrates what they call anniversarians, a made up word. So, if you started in the zeros or 5 years, that's your anniversarian year. And we were honored, and I got like a rocking chair thing. It's around here someplace. Not a rocking chair, but it's a wooden chair, and for being at Gonzaga for 45 years. Now, yes, I got the platinum watch and the fancy clock and all that with the long decorative arms on it, but I never use any of them. I mean, nobody wears a watch anymore, and I don't bother plugging the clock in. So, but the chair, I'll take it out on the lawn, and not on the lawn, on the stoop, as they call it, and play my guitar sitting in the sun kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Over the years, through Facebook primarily, I've seen you've had a lot of involvement with opportunities to play Hawaiian music. Do you have just one group you kind of hang out with, or
Well,
you jump
I was with the
in?
Gonzaga group. The Gonzaga group was very busy. In the 4 years I was actually student, we were playing for colleges all over the area at their luau's and whatever parties they were coming with. And when I graduated, I met up with a group that was playing here. They were one of the newly formed Hawaiian music groups at the Expo 74. And after that, they kept going, and then they asked if I would help play music with them. So actually, one of their leaders was my best friend. It's passed since, but we started a group called Local Maikai. So we started playing all over the place. Oh, I guess I got into Canada with that as well. So Canada, Idaho, Oregon, real close areas.
Yeah.
So mostly that, but a lot when I was in school. And when I graduated from Gonzaga, I was actually became the advisor of the Hawaii Club. So I was an advisor of the Hawaii Club for at least 45 years, 44 years.
Wow. So you've seen a lot of local kids come and go
Oh
then.
yeah, that's why very hard to remember. Remember our classmate, Betty Kekuna,
Yeah.
Tomasato now? Her boy went to Gonzaga. Of course, I make it
Oh,
to our 40th reunion, and she goes, Kai, my son's up at Gonzaga. I said, your son? She gives me, I said, what do you mean your kids went to Gonzaga for 4 years? He's graduating this year and never told me you were his mom. He goes, oh yeah, I definitely never told him. So she calls him right from we were at Natsunoya. And she goes, hey, I'm here with Uncle Kai. I went, shoot. It's so too funny. So
wow.
nice kid, pretty bright. So finished school and then of course didn't hear from them after that. So, but yeah. And remember Lucas, year ahead of us, our dorm, Lucas Kekuna?
Yeah.
That's
That
the
was
cousin,
Betty's
right?
brother. That wasn't
Cousin,
Betty.
cousin.
Okay, okay, okay.
Anyway, his son and the son's now a wife went to Gonzaga as well. So I
Wow.
don't know if I don't know when that was a while back. But I see Lucas at least once a year over in
Oh,
Seattle.
oh, he's living up in the Pacific
Yeah,
Northwest.
mom, dad, I think passed, and so moved up, stayed, lived with the son and daughter-in-law and the three kids, the three of their children. He has a set of twins, granddaughters, and a grandson over on the coast.
Oh. Ah,
Mhm.
that's a kind of a big move, I think, for I don't know. I don't know if he went college before or what, but I think at a certain age it's easy to make the transition to mainland life, and then there's gotta be portions of a person's life when it's a tough move. And probably what you're moving for, because I hear stories about all these guys that move to Vegas for the um nicer what do you call it, economic pluses.
Cost of living is, yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit. Mhm. Uh,
but it's a different world.
Hey,
I was talking to Pua Nap
right?
Bonds now. We
Mhm.
we we had our session this morning, and her big thing is the people that are altering poke on the mainland. It's a pet peeve for her. It drives her crazy.
They're what? Altering focus?
Poke.
Oh, Poke Express. One of my boy, I walk in there, I almost let them have it, but I decided not to. So I'm a lot nicer now, so it's
You're
terrible.
you're mellowing out in your old age, huh? Yeah, when they start dropping strawberries or lettuce or whatever. I don't know. It's me
Um,
different.
we have a pretty active Hawaii club in Spokane. And 25, 30 years ago, we had a really big potluck and music jam session. And somebody brought in lomi salmon with Velveeta cheese. And
Oh,
I don't know what came over me. This is the when I wasn't as nice. I said, "Who the hell put cheese in my lomi salmon?" And everybody just froze and they said, "Oh, sorry." I went, "Oh, sorry." I just yelled at somebody for putting cheese in the lomi salmon.
and I'd never even heard that concept even mentioned, let alone having seen anything like that. But
Well, after that, I started keeping my eyes open. How about green and red peppers in your lomi salmon too?
oh,
I go, same color, but no. So,
there's yeah, I can't remember living in San Antonio. The Mexicans have something that looks a lot like lomi salmon, but it's
one
not
of the
lomi salmon.
salsas, right?
Yeah, and yeah, maybe they got the two recipes mixed up or
And that's
whatever.
exactly what the guy told me. He goes, well, it looked like salsa, so I put cheese in it. I went,
They brought experiment at home, but don't bring it out into public.
I didn't even know who he was, so that's why I felt bad.
Uh, what's the student body at Gonzaga?
Oh, I don't know. Uh, I don't
Seven
know.
thousand.
I don't even have to do it. Oh, yeah, I would say about that much. If you were to count all the extended campuses and stuff like that, a lot more than when I started school here. You know, I worked at Gonzaga for so many years. I actually knew registrars that could memorize 9 to 1100 social security numbers. Now, who would remember one social security number other than yourself, let alone 9 to 1100? But they did work with people's records so much. But nowadays, those people wouldn't be able to keep track of the number of kids that come through Gonzaga. Every
Oh,
now and then I hear a name goes, Kai, I work with somebody that went to Kamehameha. And I go, oh, I know who that is. I go, are they going to school here? He goes, oh, they're in our Hawaii campus. I went, oh, wow. So the other day, Larry mentioned Gonzaga, and because you were talking about where he went to school, I said, oh, yeah, Larry and Isaac Smith, they're all Gonzaga at one
huh.
time or another. And then I mentioned to you the other day Mary Kay Simpson, younger than us, so that was pretty funny.
Huh.
But yeah, Gonzaga kids, commitment kids show up here after learning about Gonzaga years
Yeah.
later. Otherwise, I try
Now,
to ask every year if they got any commitment, and so we got Maui and Oahu this past year.
currently, is there something that Gonzaga excels in as far as offering education?
Whew.
Like
Uh,
people go, oh, I want to do this. I gotta go Gonzaga.
Yeah, I don't think that's true anymore. They definitely have the resources to create some brains because I helped with a couple of senior project type things. They put about 12 people on a team, but within the team, they can break up into smaller groups. And there were three Hawaii kids in there. And I went to the last maybe 3 or 4 of their meeting sessions. And those three kids before the last month of school, they already had jobs lined up with big name companies, like Google and Microsoft and stuff like that,
Wow.
waiting for them to graduate and walk the aisle with their diplomas. And that's how bright some of these kids are. So,
They tell them as soon as you're done, you get that diploma, walk off the stage, jump in
yeah,
the limo, and we're bringing you
pick
what?
up your paycheck kind of thing. And then we had kids that are really brainy, but they weren't planning on doing any more school afterwards. So they
Huh.
hung around Gonzaga and hung around Spokane, get to the point where I say, "Hey, go home." He goes, "Why?" He goes, "You're not doing anything here." Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
God, I mean, staying connected through a school, like a lot of people who are longtime educators in our class, you see that flow and
Mhm.
you see patterns come up, I guess. So you kind of almost after a while are expecting certain things to be a certain way, and no matter how hard you try and influence or change it, it's not happening.
Well, I kind of like seeing them change too. So some of them, boy, started here very timid. There's a girl from Maui. She came here like I would say countryside Maui. And by the time she left here, she knew what she wanted to do. So
You
I,
could
I don't know what she's
walk down
doing
the street
now.
in New York and take over stuff, huh?
Yeah, maybe, but I think she ended up back in Hawaii as well. But she was pretty impressive. And a couple of kids from Kamehameha itself actually ended up working for the Washington Department of Transportation Engineering and specializing in hydraulics, something that wasn't well known in the state at the time and doing really well. So
Yeah,
I
just
like I like
kind of
hearing about those kids. But
it's.
names, oh boy, can't remember them all anymore.
Do you have any memorable favorite ones though? Like really, I don't know.
I guess
You
that's the one I just noticed. She's Glory Lynn Kimokeo. Cannot remember her year. She's the engineer that I remember all of. And then there's a couple of other classes. Ooh, um, Justin Camarillo and his wife, Rachel Asuncion. I don't know what grade though. 90 some, 94 maybe.
hmm,
Um, they're on the coast too, so working in Seattle area.
you ever run into any Molokai kids?
I actually ran into a couple at Gonzaga. The Po'aha family, Molokai. There was a
Yeah,
grandson that was here, and he told me what his dad's name, grandpa's name was. Hey, I think I went to grade school with your grandpa, Ambrose Po'aha.
yeah, sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think his grandson was at Gonzaga, but unfortunate for him, it was right during when COVID started, and everybody got the
Oh,
option to stay out or work from study from home. And there's a percentage loss there for Hawaii kids because they went home and said, "Oh, I can do something else here with less commitment as far as time and stuff like that." So I met a couple of those. Um, oh, forget that kid's name. Yeah, quite a few actually from. Oh, Filipino kid. Didn't even know who he was except that he was in a Hawaii club. Then his grandma comes up and he's part of ROTC. And I get invited to ROTC graduations every now and then. Grandma comes walking up to me, goes, "Hi, are you Arthur Chu Mo'opuna?" I went, "Huh?" She's talking about my granddad. She goes, "You look like a Chu." I went, "Yeah, that's my grandpa." And and I'm already 30 years old by the time I meet this lady. He goes, "Oh yeah, my grandson is graduating this year, ROTC." I went, "Oh my goodness, didn't even know that. I knew the kid was in the Hawaii club. That's about it."
yeah, and you probably you can't possibly interact with them all or get any history or where they grew up or stuff like
Yeah,
that
and
unless
at
it
least
comes up.
not as much as before. When there were fewer Hawaii kids to actually lay eyes on, you could remember them. But there's still a few that will come running down the hall and goes, "Is Kai here?" I go, "Hey, you can't just step into the hall and yell out my name." Yeah, I did, and you came out of your office. I mean, okay.
Sound like country kids.
Yeah. Well, hey, Hawaiian style, uncle this, uncle that. Huh? I had to teach a couple of my local friends. It goes, hey, these kids are calling me uncle not because we're related. We're from Hawaii, so everybody's an uncle or an auntie.
Yeah. We had a family from Chook that moved next door to us for maybe a year. And Ukupau kids. I mean, probably three families, but 17 kids, bunches of them. So we became grandma and grandpa because we lived next
Oh,
door.
wow.
And so I get on the bus, and then I have these other little kids that would know the Chook kids from class or whatever. Hey, you're Kiana's grandpa, huh? I said, yeah, well, yeah, okay. Cannot explain that calabash concept. So
But they weren't trying to be mean, so that's fine.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, close enough.
uh, um, Funny story. I told you about the guy, John Dang. He's a class of 70 grad. I mentioned it to you just the other day.
Okay.
His son is the principal for one of the local high schools. And anyways, we end up at a luau for one of the colleges down the road, and he notices a kid on the stage, and he starts telling stories. And it's because the kid is actually one of his students at the high school, and they're always, I don't know, they get into trouble, sort of. Anyways, he called them into his office one day and he said, hey, you guys know anything about this trouble they're having? And the kid turn and goes, oh, Mr. Dang, that's the Popolos. He goes, what? And these kids notice right off that he's from Hawaii. So the Popolos making all the trouble. And oh my God, these kids. And so they know he's from Hawaii and they actually speak native islander to them kind of style. And he loves it. The boy wasn't born and raised in Hawaii, but he's hanging around with his dad and us for 30 years of his life, so he understands the full jargon and everything. So pretty fun.
Yeah, the Popolos.
It wasn't us, it was the Popolos.
And when you're not expecting it, you suddenly hear a truly, guarantee local word. You're like, oh,
Uh-huh. Oh, the Filipino. Psst, 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 psst. Oh, I hear that in the stores every now and then. Now that could be ethnically somebody else as well, but I just
yeah.
think Filipino. So
Well, my wife and I, when we were in a big store of some kind and we lose track, we always like to let go with the "Woo," and then just echo back, and people close to you are like,
just point at somebody else. Oh, it's him. Yeah.
how long are
So
you going to stay in Hawaii when you go?
till the end of the month, actually, I think I fly back on the 30th. So to
Oh,
Molokai,
nice.
definitely. Hopefully I get there timely wise and not miss any flights. So mid-morning flight on Sunday to Molokai, and then the early morning Sunday, the end of the month back, and then late night flight to mainland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Graduation party, birthday parties. There's at least three of them while I'm at home. Then got to go visit the relatives.
And then, word will spread, and then you'll have visitors you didn't realize even knew you were there.
Yeah, not necessarily. June is a good time for a family to go on vacation, so they're not always at home.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So my sister's family is across the street, so the daughter and son-in-law and kids, so that I'll visit them to start with, and then I have relatives going to church every Sunday, so I'll do that as well. Yeah,
There's
Spokane.
I knew of her. I like the Mondoys on Facebook. I kind of lightly reconnected with Paula. who's a Scot now. But did you know any of the Mondoys?
I know some Mondoys because my brother's classmates was their family, and I know my dad was said that was your uncle, but I don't know where the blood is. So
Yeah.
the ones that familiar to me are the ones that play music, but they
Okay.
passed. So
Yeah, they had quite a few kids. I remember that part. So,
mhm.
and there was somebody that Kilauea Wilson ran into when he was on Molokai, but and the guy said, Kilauea told me, "Oh, Kermit, this guy says he was with you in elementary school," and I can't remember the name, but I know when he said it, it didn't ring any bells. Then finally, he contacts me about 2 weeks later. Had seen the guy again. He went Kilohana Elementary.
Oh,
So I said, well, unless I played boy baseball with him, I never would have, because that's the only time I ever really interacted with the East End guys. I mean,
East
come in
End. Haven't heard that term in like ages.
East End, Mauna Loa. Um,
CPC, how about that one?
oh, geez.
Nobody says that anymore.
And that's going way back. Because that's directly connected to
Pineapple Company.
pineapple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
California Packing Company. Yeah. But that's
Jeez.
Kuala Lumpur now. So, wow. Molokai boys here.
Could almost come up with our own little trivia.
And okay, we play that game and you and I would lose.
That's just because I can't remember anything. That's all. Okay, who was the two second grade teachers at Kanukakai Elementary? Oh, forget it. Just buzzed me out already.
Yeah. Never even think anybody would ever ask me about second grade teachers at Kanukakai. Yeah, but all the other ones, fourth, fifth grade up, I could remember those. Third grade.
Uh, I think Mr. Kula's passed and the wife is working in Dallas from what or living in Dallas from what I last
Oh,
heard. So, because his wife was Filipino, yeah, you remember that?
yeah, 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 yeah. Wow.
I think she was a nurse, or of course, it seems like that's the only occupation they allow Filipinas to even have at all.
Yeah, well, there's one that could actually bring a skill and leave the country, right? So head to Hawaii. No, not necessarily true. So so yeah. So
Do you
so in
stay in
fact,
close contact with any of our classmates?
no, hey, I don't think I stay in close contact with any of our classmates. I tried for years to stay in contact with Alfred. So the first 5 years after graduation, I saw him all the time, and then I haven't seen him 40 plus years. So I thought I was going to hang out with him this coming week. Then his business sent them out of town the other day. They're out for I don't know how many weeks. So
Have
we're
you seen him at any other reunions?
no. Alfred made a choice not to go to any more reunions. It might have made
Uh,
out to the 10th or 15th or something like that, but I never made it to the 10th. So I went to everything after that. So, until 45 came along and we never had that one.
yeah.
Uh, like Greg Friel, I saw him at 29 and 30 because that's the ones he made a point of making it to. Because 29 with the hosts. In fact, you worked hard that week too, right? And then 30th was our celebration year.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I can't remember if I made it to our celebration one or not. Was that in 2015 or was that
Well,
earlier?
that would have been 30 years ago. Was that 2015? No, 20 years ago. Yeah, that would have been 2015.
Okay. Yeah. I,
Was that the one you were sick? You couldn't travel? Not sick, surgery.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. I remember Kathy saying that. Yeah, Tricky ain't gonna make it this year. Remember that nickname? Oh, you do. I guess that's your
Oh
name.
yeah. All my first cousins used it, and
Uh,
aunties and uncles before they left this world or would all use it. So
well, what I found funny was they would say that name and I knew exactly who they were talking about. And other people said, "Who's that?" I go, "Oh shoot." No.
because
Yeah.
Kathy Chow must have left Island what, maybe first, second grade or something, huh? I mean, they were real young, I think, when
Right.
their family left.
Uh,
And seemed like they just exchanged. They left and then Wani them showed up.
Okay, you see, and I use a similar story because I couldn't remember them being in the same place at the same time, except Kamemea. Uh, Other family, what about Davis? Imiola Davis and Billy Davis?
Mike Medeiros
Oh,
put out
mention
a huh?
he mentioned them?
No, Mike Medeiros is in charge of class night collecting
Uh-huh.
the funds for it. He puts out a thing to some of us saying, I got 75 bucks for class night from a Sherry Lynn Davis. No, no, whatever her married name is now. Sherry Lynn
Cheryl
married.
Davis. I don't know what her married name is, but Cheryl Davis, yeah.
Yeah. And that's Imiola's Howley name.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Sherry, not Cheryl. Sherry Lynn.
Sherry Lynn.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, now I know.
Yeah,
Gonna
and
put
none
that
of
on
us
the
did either because,
put that on their name tag then.
Michael was trying to figure out who to give credit for the money to and couldn't figure it out. And I dug back in our,
One of our annuals?
no, that little book we got, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. It's got, like a directory.
Oh, from Harris Publishing?
Yeah.
I never bought that. I did not know that.
And so I forget how I reverse researched it or whatever, and it was Emiola. But,
Oh,
I mean, and I guess after long enough of a time of maybe stepping away from your Hawaiian name because you're not living a Hawaii type life or whatever, you get used to that becoming your name now, yeah.
hmm.
Like if you had suddenly moved mainland and gone by Kent all of a sudden, nobody would have any idea
Yeah,
later on.
including
So,
me, right? They would say that and I wouldn't know who they were talking about. So my Hawaiian name is Key. I go back to Molokai and somebody will say my Hawaiian name and they'll say it in three different pronunciations. And I can now actually put them into what decade I knew them from.
huh?
Uh,
What would have caused that?
because they didn't work. Well, nobody was good at Hawaiian language. So I knew my name from when I was little, but not everybody can say it. Do you remember Barry Domingo,
Yeah.
Molokai? Okay, he still calls me Kaihehau. And that's almost how the Hawaiian way of saying Kaihehau, but it's not my name. But I know when he got that name. So it's pretty
And
fun.
and I think I remember in like elementary, I think I would always use two syllable. I call you Kai Hao.
Right, and that's the other one. So that's all of you guys.
Okay.
From Otoboy them to you guys, that's all Kaihau. And
Okay.
even Rudy Covington, he was Kaihau, Kaihau,
Oh
Kaihau.
wow.
Though that's how I know that group. That's actual classmates that said it that way.
Yeah. Because
Uh,
I get stuff every once in a while, a comment back on something stupid I'll post from Brad Rodriguez.
huh?
You remember Brad Rodriguez?
Yeah, I saw him at the last class of 75 in Vegas thing
Oh,
about
from the Molokai
four or
group.
5 years ago. Yeah, the Molokai class.
And I
I
guess
always thought
they,
he was
they
my cousin too, by the way, but I didn't know any difference. So
He wasn't?
I couldn't tell you. I call his mom and the dad my uncle, auntie all my life because we spent a lot of time down there. So
Yeah. He had quite a few siblings, didn't he?
yeah, um, younger sister and brother Hamilton and Major, maybe one more. In fact,
Hamilton is,
I ran into all of them at the Vegas reunion too. So,
wow. I always used to be fascinated by that name Major. I thought,
mhm.
wow, that'd be, like, what if he got in the military and he was suddenly Major Major? I don't know.
Well, the dad's name was Major too, so it was Uncle Major.
Oh, okay. Oh, geez. And 50 years, a lot of stuff you can cram into
Mhm.
there, yeah. Golly. Well, I'm looking forward. I just, like I said, got to cross my fingers. TSA is nice to me when I go airport. So
Yeah, I hope they're nice to you. I actually have TSA pre-check, so
TSA what?
pre-check.
Oh,
So I actually get through the lines at least 5 minutes faster. Don't have to stop anywhere.
yeah.
No, I
Yes,
got
maybe
one
I
of
don't
those.
travel enough. I should though.
Well, I only travel once a year, but I needed it. I couldn't stand in those lines.
Yeah, kind of drive me crazy. Well, you said you come in June 3rd.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
the
be
middle
there
of the
midday
afternoon.
June 4th. So are you going to the that what is it? Mai Tais or whatever? That
Yeah, at my the right the Wednesday night.
Alamana or whatever? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping to run into somebody that wants to play music. Because, using the Philip mentioned playing music, and then I was hoping to play music with Alfred, but he's not around, that kind of stuff. So
No, I'm
I
sure
actually,
the
I actually have to
opportunity
get
will.
rid of tickets. I actually have a ticket to the Kupuna luncheon that I was going to share with Alfred, and I have another ticket to the luau. I was wondering if I should ask my auntie if she like go. But I don't know when she graduates. She might actually know some of the celebrating years, so.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Or if you know anybody that needs a luau ticket, I'll
I'll
sell it
keep
to
my
them.
ears open.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, brother, I appreciate the time, man. I'm
for
glad
sure.
we had a chance to catch people up. I
Yeah,
hope you keep enjoying them. I've got a bunch in the pipe. I've just gotta get them loaded, and then gonna have kind of a break while I'm there because I won't have access to all the videos that I have on my computer. So I'll have to load them
yeah,
after June 20th. So there's gonna be a break in there, but uh,
yeah.
people
You're
will
gonna have
hang
to
on,
make
I
a
think.
lot of promises to people. Goes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll get to you. I promise.
Yeah, it takes a little of the kind though. Stephen Pilioloha just was absolutely against it. So I sent him some of the videos that I put on my YouTube page. He watched them and then he called me back and wanted to do one. He
See?
was just so afraid something was gonna be embarrassing or whatever. So
Well, I was too, but you're a pretty good host. Gotta give you props for that.
right on. Mahalo, man.
Yeah,
Well, we see you on Oahu. Travel
for
safe.
sure. Thank you. Same thing to you.
Ahui, my man.
Take care.